Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I am trying hand dyeing yarn. So in the previous video, or whenever I've posted it, I tried naturally dyeing yarn and it went really well and I really enjoyed it. So I invested in some all-in-one acid dyes, specifically made for woolen stuff for dyeing, and I have attempted to dye my own yarn again, properly. Non-naturally this time though, there are some chemicals involved. But anyway, so the whole process of this I love, and I love doing it, and I've done a lot more than I'm going to show you today, but I'm waiting for certain dates and certain times to show you that, but it will be very soon and I'm very excited. So my first attempt at dyeing yarn, I didn't film a lot because I was just too excited and I just sort of went on and did it and forgot, but I will show you a couple of the clips that I did take here. So I did a lovely vibrant sort of rainbow because I had all the dyes and I just wanted to try them all immediately, and I didn't film much but I do have the result here. So this was the final result. It is so vibrant and so amazing and I absolutely love it. Like, it just makes me so happy and I can't believe I made this. I love it, it's so cool. So I also made some swatches. So this is a crochet swatch. I don't know if you can see. And then I also did a knitted swatch as well. There we go, that's better. And I absolutely love the colours. Like, absolutely love the colours. They are amazing. And I definitely want to dye some more of this because it's just gorgeous. So I'm going to try and explain my process, and then I have dyed more yarn that I'm going to show you in a minute, and I filmed a lot more of that process because I knew that I wanted to show you it. So the main thing that's different that you probably won't see in the clips coming up is that mixing the dye. So I used a quarter of like my little 0.5 milliliter spoon of the powder dye, because it is powder dye. Also, I know in the videos I don't wear a mask. I should wear a mask. I'm gonna go and get a mask. Don't worry, I will get one as soon as I can, and I will start using it because I know working with powder chemicals can be really harmful, especially if you ingest them. So I'm going to go and get a mask and use it as soon as I can. So I actually had these little plastic bottles that I think they're made for drinks, but I used them to mix my dye because I didn't have anything else right at the start. So I popped a little bit in there, used some really hot water, or not really hot, just hot water, and I stirred it in there, and now I've got my little cups of dye, which I really enjoyed doing and I would recommend. And it also means that I can reuse those dyes if I don't use them all. So like, for example, this is not like 100 grams or 50 grams, this is probably like 20 grams, if that, of yarn. So I didn't use a lot of dye for it, so that I can then reuse that dye. So now I'm going to show you the yarn that I created after my first attempt, the one that I show a lot more of, and sort of my process and how I did it, and yeah, hope you enjoy. So the first thing I did was I zip tied my yarn. So I'd already hanked it up. I did it in smaller balls so that I could experiment more with what I had. I just got this out my stash, and I zip tied it so that I could easily move it around in the hot water, because you don't want to be touching it, it's quite hot, you don't want to hurt yourself. So the zip ties really work because you can either like get tongs and use it on the zip ties, or I use chopsticks, and it really does work. So then I soaked my yarn for this. I think in this first clip I use mohair and merino yarn, just to try it together to see what it would look like. And so I soaked them both in separate jugs before getting ready, and whilst I get ready I cling film all of the sides that I'm going to use. This is in case the dye does spill, I do not want to stain my sides or anything like that, and cling film is a very easy way to go around this and to make it a bit safer for the environment that you're working in. So then once I cling filmed the sides and I made it all safe, I decided to mix up my dyes. So I used the dyes I'd already mixed in my first attempt, and I used a bigger jug this time because I found the first time it was a bit hard to pour them straight from the bottles, so I decided to use a jug. So I mixed up some colours, so I mixed up the dyes that I wanted to use, and I got everything ready for pouring. Then I rinsed out the yarn, I squeezed out all the water, and I put it in the pan with a very small amount of water because I knew I was going to be adding a lot of dye. I did not want it to, I did not want the water to sort of ruin the effect. So then I added in my dyes, as you can see. And I turned the heat up to let the yarn cook and to let the dye soak into the yarn. So then this was actually my first attempt of speckling. It didn't go as well as I expected. It sort of just created a more tie-dye effect, but now I know the reason. It was because I already had water in the bottom of my pan, and there was already water in my yarn. So since then I have tried speckling and it has worked really well. What I needed to do was squeeze out all the excess water from my yarn, make sure there wasn't much, if any, in the pan, and then sprinkle the powder in, and it would have worked better. But I still like the outcome of this yarn and how it actually turned out with the speckling going a bit wrong. So then after that I obviously let it cool, rinsed it out, and then I let it dry over my shower. Over the shower seems to work pretty well. And then I decided to repeat the same process for a different type of yarn. This is a much chunkier type, but also the yarn was not naturally because it was already dyed, but it was dyed darker than the other ones just because this is what I found in my stash and I didn't really like the colour, so I wanted to change it. So this meant when I was experimenting with the colours, I did have to make them a lot darker than I expected or a lot bolder than I expected. But this was fine. I just added in more as I was doing it and just sort of played it by eye and until it was looking good. So once I had finished all that, I then hanked up and winded all of the yarn on my Swift and on my wool winder. And I have the final results here with me. So this is the first one. I have these two. The mohair is a lot lighter than I expected, but I really like it. And then this is the merino. As you can see with the speckling, it did just turn into tie-dye, but now I do know what to do. So I can always recreate it, which I might, but I really love the mohair. It's gorgeous. I love it so much. I will do swatches of these at some point, but I haven't yet, so I don't really know what they look like, but I think they look pretty cute and they would look lovely together. And then the dark one also turned out beautiful. It's like a purpley bluey effect, and like you've got lots of darker bits as well, where I really like where I started with the lighter base of the blue and the purple, and then I added splashes of that bolder colour on top. I really like how that turned out, so I might experiment with that more. But yeah, this is gorgeous. I absolutely love it. I haven't made this into a ball yet, but I might, or a cake I should say, but I might when I'm about to use it. So yeah, so that was my first real attempt at hand dyeing yarn, not naturally. I really enjoyed it and I'm definitely going to do more around that, and I will definitely show you as well. So yeah, please let me know if you have any experience in dyeing yarn, if I was doing anything wrong, if I could be improving in any way. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later. Goodbye.